need to talk too much about it, because the first mission was tackling that very profoundly. So now let's tackle this image you see on the screen. If you have used or ever listened to jazz, you would know that the musicians, they are not working or playing throughout the notes. They just play up front and then they start to think on the music. So let's compare those two photos. What is the difference that you can see? Some of them play on violin. There's another African musical instrument also playing music, and on the second photo, which is for Nas, which is stating that he's following on the notes. So you can see that some of the groups just play music without getting into any notes. They are just playing the music, and you cannot say that any of them was good or any of them was bad. The difference is that they have different techniques. So, for example, if you can remember the old days, that some of the classical notes that we used to see, but both how they think. They think that we need to play music after getting to a point that we can just demonstrate as the chaotic. The second team, they are following the musical notes, but they have to complete the play, regardless what sort of the audience in front of them, whether they pay attention to them or not. So we have a difference between the one who's creating the notes, what sort of the audience that we are interacting with. Is it about controlling the big number of audience, with all my due respect to the Ministry of Medicine for the huge numbers? But this group of people, if we will gather all of them to play jazz music, that would be really possible? I would say it is hard. We have around 300 musicians. How would they create the note together? This is exactly ourselves. Each one of them just put part of the contents of the play. So this is the role of the digital transformation that uses the knowledge, the technology, and also it requires or has confidential information. How can I govern this? There's difference between controlling and governing. So governing means the behavior, the set of behaviors. Now, can you see these dots on the screen? I cannot exactly mention or see if their colors are crystal, but I've just collected some points, and by the end of the speech we would see what would those points lead us to. I've given those notice for those points. For example, I told you that this is a part of knowledge that I just collected while I was getting from the first floor to the third or the seventh floor. So I just was even communicating with Dr. Amani about the exit, the entrance, safety, security, and if those entrances are adequate for the number of the audience. So digital transformation has tackled very vast domains, starting from the 90s, when we were just thinking that we cannot subscribe the movies, that you need to pay for watching a movie from inside home. So some countries were having streaming and cables. They used to pay for watching the movies by just subscribing somehow, until we've come to 2020 plus. So anything have been an actual transformationally, actual digitalized transformation. I can say that, for example, the last 20 years, it's like a runner, but running on the soil sometimes is different in its nature. It could be sometimes solid ground, semi-solid ground, desalinated watered grounds, and so on and so forth. So I can remember that the governments, where I used to work in one of the private companies, and I was governing 62 countries, Central, East